we will be having the opening ceremonies of our month-long celebrations honoring women. So March is National Women's Month celebration with the theme, We make change work for women.
Palakpakan po natin, siyempre.
And our theme for 2022, Agenda ng Kababaihan tungo sa Kaunlaran. Wow. Ayan, kaway-kaway yung mga babae dyan na punong-puno ang agenda dahil very busy sa pagpapakain ng kanilang mga pamilya.
At siyempre naman, hindi lang papakain. They are also working. No?
Yes.
Working mo. So ang ating mga kababaihan ay mga talaga nga namang multi-talented.
And of course, our women farmers and fishers, ang ating pangunahing clients. Yes. Hi, Dean. Mention.
Okay. And also, we would like to acknowledge the arrival of our
Honorable Mr. Eduardo Chikusa,
the head of Economic and Trade Section of the Embassy of Brazil. Good morning, sir.
Bom dia.
And also we have our guests here from the Bureau of Jail Management and Penology, headed by Jail Chief Superintendent Luisito Muñoz, the Regional Director for NCR.
And also I would like to acknowledge our uniformed women over here. Hello po.
Yes.
Bawal yata sila kumaway.
And also Chief Inspector Erlinda V. Turaray. Yes, hello ma'am. And Jail Superintendent Michelle Nang Bonto. Yes, good morning.
So I think we can get on with the proceedings. If everyone could settle down before we have our opening prayer to be led by the Quezon City Symphonic Band.
Yes, to be followed by the Philippine National Anthem to be played by the Quezon City Symphonic Band as well.
So let us all bow our heads in solemnity.
Yes, manatili po tayo nakatayo for the singing of the national anthem.
We happily welcome in our midst Honorable Royar Sayedi of the Venezuelan Embassy. Bienvenidos, ma'am.
Morning. And also, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of our Assistant Secretary, Dr. Lisa Batad. Ma'am.
By her own tarpaulin.
Yes.
Miss Liza Galang Batad, Golden Wheel awardee, a powerful woman herself.
Congratulations, ma'am.
I saw here Head Executive Assistant, Mr. Alex Arizabal.
Yes, good morning, sir. Okay, to proceed, may I call on Mr. Christian Vincent Satuna para sa panunumpa sa watawat.
Let's raise our right hands and sabay-sabay po nating banggitin ang panunumpa sa watawat. Ako ay Pilipino, buong katapatang nanunumpa sa watawat ng Pilipinas at sa bansang kanyang sinasagisag na may dangal, katarungan at kalayaan na ipinakikilos ng sambayanang makadiyos, makatao, makakalikasan at makabansa.
And next, we would like to call on Ms. Christine Joyce Velez para sa panunumpa ng kawani ng gobyerno.
Manatili pong nakataas ang ating kanang kamay at sabay-sabay nating bigkasin ang panunumpa ng kawani ng gobyerno. Ako ay kawani ng gobyerno. Tungkulin ko ang maglingkod ng tapat at mahusay. Dahil dito, ako'y papasok ng maaga at magtatrabaho ng lagpas sa takdang oras kung kinakailangan. Magsisilbi ako ng magalang at mabilis sa lahat ng nangangailangan. Pangangalagaan ko ang mga gamit kasangkapan at iba pang pag-aari ng pamahalaan. Pantay at makatarungan ang pakikitungo ko sa mga lumalapit sa aming tanggapan. Magsasalita ako laban sa katiwalian at pagsasamantala. Hindi ko gagamitin ang aking panunungkulan sa sarili kong kapakanan. Hindi ako hihingi o tatanggap ng suhol. Sisikapin kong madagdagan ang aking talino at kakayahan upang ang antas ng paglilingkod sa bayan ay patuloy na maitaas. Sapagkat ako'y isang kawani ng gobyerno at tungkulin ko ang maglingkod ng tapat at mahusay sa bayan ko at sa panahong ito, ako at ang aking mga kapwa-kawani ay kailangan tungo sa isang maunlad, masagana at mapayapang Pilipinas. Sa harap ninyong lahat, ako'y taos-pusong nanunumpa.
Okay, so for the next flag ceremony, it will be led by the Office of the Assistant Secretary for Administration and Special Concerns. So may I request everyone please to stay for the kick-off program of the 2022 National Women's Month celebration. Yan. Palakpakan po ulit natin, syempre, ang ating mga sarili at ang ating mga kababaihan.
And to formally open our proceedings, we would like to hear from the Undersecretary of High Value Crops and Rural Credit Program of the DA, and also the Chair of the Gender and Development Focal Point System of the DA. Undersecretary Evelyn Laviña. I think she's not here yet, so... Oh, there you are, ma'am. Sorry about that. So we would just like to acknowledge Yusek Evelyn. Thank you for this event.
Yes, thank you very
for organizing
much.
this event.
And so, Yusek Evelyn Laviña is here, so palakpakan po ulit natin. And of course, we also have here the Program Director and Directorate for Gender Equality and Social Inclusion, or Jessie, Director Andre Rivera. Palakpakan po ulit natin si Ma'am Andre.
So mamaya po our VIPs will be ushered to our Kadiwa section so they can view the products of our farmers and our agripreneurs. But before we end the flag ceremony and go into the special program for today, we would also like to invite our dear Secretary over here for a short Monday morning message. Sir?
Yes, palakpakan po ulit natin ang ating kagalang-galang na kalihim. Kalihim William Dar.
Hello, hello. Hello, hello.
Wireless.
Hello. Ay, dekorasyon lang pala ito isa. Ay, buhay. Hello. Oh. Hello. Good morning. Good morning. Ang aking minamahal, mga kawani ng kagawaran ng pagsasaka, palakpakin natin lahat po sila. Excellencies, distinguished guests, friends, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. I wanted to be brief today, but there are compelling challenges that I would like to highlight in the presence of everyone here, because inside, hindi ninyo maririnig mamaya yung aking sasabihin. Of course, we are celebrating 2022 National Women's Month. Palakpakan natin ang ating mga kawani na kababaihan dito po sa Department of Agriculture. Palakpakan! At ang ganda po itong tema, we make change for women. So sana bawat isa, mayroong kayong katuwang at kayo yung brother, hindi yung lover. Ha? Brother, to make it possible that the potentials of this woman is properly, unlocked. Can we do that? Yes. Pwede ba na mayroon tayong, I see the ratio here, almost 50-50. We should be able to help our sisters, unlock their potential so that they can significantly contribute to the very goals that we are having in the Department of Agriculture. Pwede ba? Okay. Now, so let this be a year-round, objective of making change work for women. May mga Stinger bees. Hindi yung Stinger missile sa Ukraine. Oh my God. Now, global challenges, number one. As a result of COVID-19, ang dami pong problema ang nangyayari sa bansa. I will not go into the details, but briefly, nandyan yung disruption of global supply chain, nandyan yung pagtataas ng mga presyuhan, petroleum, agricultural inputs, logistics, and the like. Ang dami pong problema. And so, nadagdagan pa ng problema dun sa Ukraine crisis. Now, and today, you can see the whole world parang umiikot, of course umiikot ang mundo natin, pero mas lalo ngayon, mas marami tayong problema, not only for agriculture and food, but for the rest of the other sectors of the economy. So, but before anything else, let me welcome all of you, because I believe that COVID-19 ay pababa na. Ang sabi po nila, and let's pray for that. The worst is over. Palakpakan natin. So, the worst is over. We would like now to encourage everyone to come report 100% na wala nang work from home para mas itong last 3.5 months ay mas marami pa tayong magagawa. Now back to the global challenges and the Ukraine crisis. Nung last Tuesday, last week, we presented to the cabinet and the President approved all our recommendations. And I am taking this opportunity of this flag ceremony to now launch publicly, nationwide, itong Plant Part 2. Kasi nung COVID-19, mayroon tayong nilunsad, plant. Pero yung mga challenges ngayon will still be here, exacerbated by Ukraine crisis. So we are launching today yung Plant Part 2. So please see to it that you imbibe. Bakit natin nilo-launch ngayon araw ulit? Kasi iba ang mundo. Beyond COVID-19, mas malala ang mundo natin ngayon. Now, what are the components? Of course, the same banner programs, but we are strengthening a number of these components. Number one, fertilizer subsidy for all farmers doing crop production. Alam niyo, I was just recommending 8 billion pesos additional for fertilizer subsidies. Sabi ng mga Pangulo, kulang yan, Secretary Dar. Mayroon na rin tayo 4 billion dito sa GAA budget. So, 4 plus 8, 12 billion. Sabi niya, kulang yan, Secretary Dar. So, nung sinabi niya na kulang, at tinanong ako magkano ang kailangan na ibibigay na fertilizer subsidy, sabi ko po, we need additional 20 billion pesos for fertilizer subsidy. O, palakpakan natin ang mahal natin na Pangulo. Pangalawa, yung peri-urban and urban agriculture ay nagpropose rin tayo na mabigyan ng budget na 1 billion pesos. And so, sabi nila, okay yun. Pangatlo, yung mariculture, aquaculture sa fisheries naman, another 1 billion. Yung local feeds formulation and production, another 1 billion. Then, 1 billion for food mobilization. So, talagang kung nandyan lang kayo sa meeting na yan, nakikita ninyo yung resoluteness ng ating mahal na Pangulo na tutulong sa ating mga magsasaka at mangingisda. So palakpakan na ulit natin ang ating mahal na Pangulo. On top of that measure, we will realign, kasama dun sa recommendation ko, we will realign our DA budget, kasama ang mga bureaus, basta yung nandun sa OSEC, and we will also see to it that the corporations will have to align themselves. Para sa ganon, mas focus itong budget natin this year. The third recommendation is, alam niyo ang buffer stock natin sa Pilipinas ay ang nipis, 8.6 days, and being administered by the National Food Authority. So ang recommendation natin ay palakasin ang mga probinsya at pabigyan ng pautang para sa ganun sila na yung mag-procure at mag-buffer stocking at their level. So yun, the CAPERS, the loans from Land Bank of the Philippines and DBP will be made available so that they will now plan and implement buffer stocking at their own level. Another recommendation is to give already the fuel subsidy. Alam niyo may 500 million pesos na para sa corn farmers and fishers. Bakit corn farmers lang? Kasi yung mga rice farmers, meron naman tayo ibibigay ulit this year starting April, 8.9 billion pesos to the rice farmers tilling 2 hectares and below. Yun. So, palapakan natin ang mga rice and corn farmers and the fishers. So, ang dami po yung social amelioration program na binibigay din ng kagawaran ng pagsasaka. And one of the last recommendations, or the last recommendation, is the transfer of oversight of the National Irrigation Administration to the Department of Agriculture at approve naman ito. So ito po, nakikiusap ako po sa inyo lahat na pagigtingin pa ang ating serbisyo kahit more than 3 months na lang ang Duterte administration. You know, alam niyo baka maganda ang performance natin itong 3.5 months na coming ay dito nila makikita na ang mga kawani ng kagawaran ng pagsasaka ay nandyan ang puso at damdamin sa pagsisilbi sa ating bayan, sa pagsisilbi sa ating mga magsasaka at mangingisda. Marami pong salamat.
Maraming salamat po sa ating kalihim, magiting na kalihim, Secretary William Dar. Palakpakan po ulit natin. At syempre sa ating mga kawani ng Department of Agriculture, ay palakpakan din po natin ang ating mga sarili.
And sabi nga ni Secretary Dar, less than 3 months, it doesn't seem like the elections are coming up. So to the last hour, kahit co-terminus tayo, kahit COS tayo, or plantilla position, we work in the service of President Rodrigo Roa Duterte.
Kaakibat ng plan. Siyempre ang work. No? Kaya palakpakan po ulit natin ang ating kalihim at ang ating kawani ng Department of Agriculture.
Aandarin, iibayuhin ang agrikultura ng bansa sa makabagong panahon. Ibabaling ang pansin, agrikultura'y palalakasin. Konsolidasyon, modernisasyon, industrialisasyon, profesionalisasyon, bagong pananaw sa nagbabagong panahon. Mag-iisahin, magsasaka at mangingisda, pamahala ang lokal, pribadong sektor, mga dalubhasa at kagawaran ng pagsasaka. Paaangatin ang produksyon nang tuloy-tuloy ang kita at ani. Walang
Good morning to everyone, to our secretary and to our distinguished who are present here today.
And our officials from the Department of Agriculture and co-workers. To put our celebration of March as a National Women's Day in context, it is good to refresh our minds that this came into being through 1988 Proclamation of 227. Providing for the observance of the month of March as women's role in the History Month. It reinforced the earlier proclamation number 224, declaring the first week of March of every year as Women's Week and March 8 as Women's Right and International Peace Day. These were signed by our President, and the proclamation affirmed our solidarity with the United Nations and recognized Filipino women's contribution in the struggle for the national independence, civil liberties, equality, and human rights. They likewise emphasized the role of the Filipino women in the social, cultural, economic, and political development throughout our history. The Philippine Commission on Women and its Interagency Technical Working Group has marked the celebration carrying the 2017-2022 theme, We Make Change, Work for Women, and the sub-theme, Agenda ng Kababaihan Tungo sa Kaunlaran. The 2022 National Women's Month celebration endeavors to highlight the gains and achievement for women and girls, assess actions toward gender equality, and look forward to steps that must be taken to ensure progress in empowering women with a country still recovering from the effects of COVID-19 pandemic and not the global economic and social repercussion of the war in Ukraine. Studies and data show that the health crisis installed movements toward gender equality, worsening and inequalities further exposing gender gaps and exacerbating vulnerabilities in the social, political, and economic aspect. The escalation of this raging war will definitely not help to remedy this already worrisome situation. If there were any consolation for all of us Filipinos, especially the women folk, in what was reported in the major media platform that appears, it is the Filipino women who were caught in this war of aggression, who are showing more bravery by opting to stay behind and refuse to live to safer grounds. It may not be the wiser thing to do for a woman to work and live there, but it certainly demonstrates the resiliency and determination of our women to face and ride out troubled places and situations, all for the love of their families and their jobs. Because foremost in their mind and heart is not their safety and comfort, but their responsibility to their families, employers, and countries. It has been very typical of our women to rise to occasion when chips are down, so to speak. They are the forefront of our every crisis. This is what have rendered our female compatriots to every country where they work and live, and it makes us very proud to be a Filipina. This, among other positive and uniquely Filipino attributes, has distinguished us, our women, and made them preferred compared to others all over. while men scampered for safety and the protection of homeland, and women stand their ground and choose to push the boundary. Women speaking. The Women's Month, and during this crisis, the Juanas take center stage once more, standing up to their rights, challenging stereotypes, breaking barriers, and serving as a pioneer of change. This year, the nation recognizes women's valuable role in society and proves that inclusive and sustainable development is only possible when gender equality becomes obtainable. Let the Women's Month celebration pay homage to this and serve as a venue and reason to highlight women's achievement amidst challenges. And this continuing discussion on emerging women's empowerment and gender equality issues and concern, as well as commitment for good reason, this month-long celebration focuses on concrete activities that are aligned with the national, international instruments and treaties such as Convention of Elimination of all forms of discrimination against women, the Beijing Platform for Action, the Plan for Gender Responsive Development, the Framework for Women, and Sustainable Gender Roles. In this observation, the PCW, through a careful planned line of activities, calls of government agencies and stakeholders to celebrate and gain, to be proactive in preventing backslide from what we have achieved in the gender equality and empowerment. It also served as a fortune time to give the Juanas the power to lay down the blueprint for the future leaders regarding essential gender issues that demand immediate action and solution. The culmination of the 6-year theme, "We Make Change Work for Women," begs the action, did we really make a change work for women? And how, to what context? As essential stakeholders and primary movers, we must gauge the changes implemented towards GERE and pursuant to the law of women, particularly the Magna Carta of Women. So before I end, may I have been reviewing and reflecting on how the Department of Agriculture have been implementing the gender equality and women empowerment anchored on the GERE plan of 2019-2025 in formulating the Gender and Development Plan. And realizing for a week already, we have been looking at in another perspective of the general actions of the Secretary's way forward to level up the Philippine agriculture for food secure and resilient Philippines with empowered and prosperous farmers and feeding folks with the 4 key strategies, which is consolidation, modernization, industrialization, and professionalization, with the 18 actionable strategies employing through a consultative and inclusive process for a unified cohesion in the NAFNIF of 2020 and 2030. But then, looking at it, there's something that we have to need to do. And understanding it, it has to be. We should review the implementation of our budget and plans as per either industry commodity needs. Each commodity has specific needs as to the field activities from preparation, planting to harvesting, processing, and packaging. It makes a lot of difference and it will be more effective and the daily action will be more targeted and more women would feel the action taken by the department. Therefore, the quality of our life of the women will be more improved happily with their masaganang ani at mataas na kita. Therefore, Secretary Dar, we're going to review it according to its commodity because each commodity have a specific action needed in which the participation of women is very well needed. Like in machineries or if it's in the farm for rice, it's different from corn or from very specific on cacao, coffee, or in mango, or in banana. Actions taken there has to be reviewed because we're looking at a general perspective. So thank you everyone and happy Women's Day. Let's change work for women. Good morning.
Aandarin, iibayuhin ang agrikultura ng bansa sa makabagong panahon. Ibabaling ang pansin, agrikultura'y palalakasin. Konsolidasyon, modernisasyon, industrialisasyon, profesionalisasyon. Bagong pananaw sa nagbabagong panahon. Pag-isahin, magsasaka at mangingisda, pamahala ang lokal, pribadong sektor, mga dalubhasa at kagawaran ng pagsasaka. Paaangatin ang produksyon ng tuloy-tuloy ang kita at ani. Walang maiiwan sa pagsulong ng kanayunan at ng buong bayan. Konsolidasyon, modernisasyon, industrialisasyon, profesionalisasyon. Bagong pananaw sa nagbabagong panahon. Oh, oh. Apat na pundasyon, 18 pamamaraan, bagong pananaw, 1DA reform agenda. Aandarin, pag-iibayuhin ang agrikultura ng bansa sa nagbabagong panahon. Ibabaling ng pansin, agrikultura'y palalakasin. Konsolidasyon, modernisasyon, industrialisasyon, profesionalisasyon. Bagong pananaw sa nagbabagong panahon. 1DA, 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 reform agenda.
Yan, for all DA employees.
Yes. Maybe we can include that in our flag ceremony, no?
Yes, para ma-internalize na talaga what's in the 1DA reform agenda framework. The 4 pillars are there. Recitation ba to? Consolidation, modernization,
Industrialization,
and
professionalization.
yes, makakabisado niyo talaga yung framework
Yes.
ng DA with that song. And we welcome also the arrival of Mrs. Nino. Good morning, ma'am, spouse of the Charge d'Affaires of the Embassy of Myanmar.
Yes, of course, together with her is Miss Mai Myo Kai, Second Secretary of the Embassy of Myanmar. Good morning.
So, come to our guest of honor, whom heard this morning, but this is a different type of speech. So we would like to introduce him first with some important things you have to know about him.
Yes. Of course, our honorable guest first served as Secretary of the Department of Agriculture in 1998.
And his 11 months time, 11 months in 1998, was a demonstration of will and competence.
And during this time, despite the harsh El Nino, the agriculture sector registered a sterling growth rate of 9.8%.
And set in motion policies and programs towards the modernization and industrialization of the agri-fisheries sector.
And with his extensive education and career in agriculture, he was named Presidential Advisor on Food Security in 1999.
That was under President Joseph Estrada. Yes. His international cachet broadened as he served 3 5-year terms, so 15 years in all, as Director General of the International Crops Research Institute for the Semi-Arid Tropics, or ICRISAT, in Hyderabad, India.
And upon returning to the Philippines in 2014, he founded the Inang Lupa movement, which expanded his original advocacy of modernizing and industrializing Philippine agriculture.
A known action man who has built a considerable body of work in the field of science and agricultural research. He was twice given presidential recognition, one of them the Outstanding Filipino or TOEFL Award in 2016.
Wow. And he reprised his role as Agriculture Secretary in 2019, this time under the Duterte administration, and reigned in the spread of African swine fever, the birth pains from the implementation of the rice tariffication law, and falling palay prices.
In early 2020, his crisis leadership in the agriculture sector passed the eruption of the Taal volcano, the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, and the ensuing quarantine measures that limited economic movement, and the series of destructive typhoons in the fourth quarter of the year that threatened the production, supply, and affordability of food.
But despite all this, his servant leadership, guided by solid enunciated principles of food security, has been bestowed laurels such as the Lifetime Achievers Award during the Asia Leaders Award 2020, Lifetime Contributor Award by the Asia CEO Awards, and Presidential Award accorded by the University of the Philippines Los Baños Alumni Association.
And I might add, he already has 10 honorary doctorate degrees from agricultural state colleges and universities. So a very strong CV for a secretary. Palakpakan po tayo.
Palakpakan po natin.
So friends,
ladies and gentlemen,
bringing hope, winning hearts,
Secretary William Dar.
Maraming salamat po. Your Excellency, ang Reference Ambassador Extraordinary in the Chancellery of Germany, Masierai. Dito po, Honorable Roger Sayedi, Minister Councilor of Venezuela. Honorable Nor Ayuzi, First Secretary, Embassy of Malaysia. Honorable Mrs. Nunu Sin, Spouse of the Charge the Affairs of Myanmar. Honorable May Mew Kering, Second Secretary of Myanmar. Honorable Eduardo Chicosa, Brazil Embassy, Head of the Economic and Trade Section. Undersecretary Evelyn Laviña, the PSC Director Miriam Villota-Rivera, other distinguished guests, friends, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. Magandang umaga po. Good morning to all of you. I'll give you justice to what has been prepared for me, but I can also later on verbalize. This month we celebrate the brave and brilliant women who continue to transform the landscape of our national life for the better. The talents and contributions of these extraordinary mothers, daughters, and sisters who are entrepreneurs, educators, public servants, scientists, artists, soldiers, farmers, and fishers. Let me also recognize the Superintendent Banayo Oban Porto Karampunan. So, police, farmers, and fishers strengthen our country's workforce. We recognize these role models for paving the way for Filipinos of future generations to succeed while inspiring others to do the same. For 2022, our celebration focuses on the sub-theme Agenda ng Kababaihan Tungo sa Kaunlaran, Women's Agenda for the Future in English. And this gives deep thought and attention to women's concerns in the government agenda and implement programs and services narrowing the gender gaps and moving towards sustainable and equitable development. On January 4, 2022, I approved the PICAP Resolution number 2, Series of 2021, entitled recommending to the Department of Agriculture through PICAP to establish the other priority program committee on gender equality and social inclusion. In this resolution, the Committee on Decorum and Investigation of Sexual Harassment Cases, or CUDI, was established, and capacity building activities will be conducted through webinars for the welfare and the continuous growth of our employees. Our stakeholders will be given access to DA services with emphasis on women engagement, anchored on the One DA reform agenda, with focus on reducing the drudgery of women's reproductive and productive work through women-friendly agri and fishery machinery, equipment, and facilities, and best of all, agri opportunities, gender equality, and women's and girls' empowerment are not only fundamental to the realization of human rights, they are also essential to poverty reduction, economic growth, sustainable natural resource management, climate change, mitigation and adaptation, ecosystems protection, and biodiversity conservation. Women play active roles as agents in food systems, as farmers, producers, processors, traders, waste workers, and entrepreneurs throughout the value chains. Supporting women to claim their rights to equal access to agricultural resources would raise total agricultural output by 2.5 to 4% and potentially reduce the number of hungry people by 12 to 17%. Providing adequate support to women in food systems is critical for the planet to feed 9 billion people in 2050 and produce more than 50% more food, more than 70% of energy, more than 70% of water. So when women are economically empowered, they reinvest in their families and communities, creating a multiplier effect that reinforces economic growth and strengthens the fabric of our nation. There are quite a few women here today who are living proof that yet in too many places in this country today, women are still treated as second-class citizens. Certainly, many places in the world also have a record of misogyny. Their abilities are undervalued. Their human rights, the right to work, express themselves, to live without fear of violence, and to compete on an even field in the job market are routinely violated. This shameful gap between men and women's intrinsic social values and how many women are treated every day is among the great injustices of our time. So this month we must also recommit ourselves to ending that disparity. I am for one, convinced that in a society where women and girls are given equal opportunities, as men and boys, even everyone is safer, happier, and more hopeful. It is my hope that everyone in this gathering this morning will work hard to make that vision a reality. The Philippines is a strong, matriarchal society whose economy is buoyed not only by women farmers and fishers, but female migrant workers. I know how important the women are in food production, in agriculture, in rural development. And so before you today, we are launching as well the Plan Part 2 to serve as the platform for boosting local food production in this country, as there will be global disruption of supply chains. Logistics will be hard. High prices of petroleum, high prices of agricultural inputs. The major producing countries are at war. They are out of the SWIFT banking system and the like. You name, the global challenges, economic challenges brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic has now been exacerbated or compounded by the Ukraine crisis today. And so we are taking this platform, celebrating this Women's Month, that we have to give again, this important celebration for the women as the platform to, implement with vigor and passion and energy Plan Part 2. So we hope everyone will be there supporting the national platform for Part 2 of the Plan program to boost food production in this country. Once more, happy National Women's Month. Mabuhay ang mga kababaihan at maraming salamat. Thank you and good day.
Good morning. Thank you for this opportunity to talk about women empowerment here at the Department of Agriculture in celebration of the Women's Month 2022 with the theme, We Make Change Work for Women, together with other distinguished ladies. National Women's Day under RA 6949 declares the 8th day of March every year as a special working day. It ensures meaningful observance of the holiday where all heads of government agencies and instrumentalities, including government-owned and controlled corporations, as well as local government units, shall encourage and afford sufficient time and opportunities for their employees to engage and participate in any activity conducted within the premises of their respective offices or establishment to celebrate National Women's Day such as this event. The Philippine Constitution of 1987 recognizes the fundamental equality of women and men, and the new Family Code of 1987 affirms women's right to own property and to contract employment and credit without the need of their husband's consent. The Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Law of 1988 guarantees equal rights to land ownership, equal shares of the farm's produce, and representation in advisory or appropriate decision-making bodies to qualified women of agricultural workforce. Republic Act No. 9710, otherwise known as the Magna Carta of Women, mandates non-discriminatory and pro-gender equality and equity measures to enable women's participation in the formulation, implementation, and evaluation of policies and plans for national, regional, and local development. In farming activities, therefore, women should have major decision-making power with regards to how to allocate earnings, how much of the harvest to sell, and what to feed their families. They should also have a say on credit and loans availment. In the Department of Agriculture, women now have become members and officers of the Agricultural-Rural Organization. However, we have lagged behind in their membership in Fisher-Folks Association, which remains predominantly male. This can be attributed to the lack of awareness by men and women of women's legal rights in regards to access to resources and membership in decision-making bodies. In the Philippines, gender awareness sessions do not usually deal with women's legal rights. Assistance for small-scale women entrepreneurs in their pursuit of owning, operating, and managing small business enterprise is provided for under RA 7882, or the act that states the provision of assistance to women engaging in micro and cottage business enterprises and for other purposes, was approved in February 1995. The DA has the Rural Improvement Club, which is a voluntary organization composed of 20 to 30 women for socio-economic projects to bring about participation and involvement in the affairs of the community. I urge women to earn income and not just ask money from their husbands. I encourage women from the province to engage in livelihood projects and the Department of Agriculture through the Agricultural Training Institute, which can provide free training and technology as assistance to them. As chairperson of the Senate Committee on Agriculture and Food, one of my priority programs is to extend assistance to the country's agricultural sector, since 2/3 of the country's population are directly or indirectly involved in this sector. Women also benefit from agricultural development because, based on statistics, 25% of the world's population is composed of women farmers. Oftentimes, some of them are heads of their families or household. I am fortunate to have two most powerful women who I look up to in my life, my mother Lydia and my paternal grandmother Manuela. They were not rich, but they worked hard to provide for their family. They've been my inspiration and role models. My Lola, who did not go to school at all, raised all her children, including my father, the late Dr. Filimon C. Aguilar, Congressman and Mayor of Las Piñas, by selling betel leaves, or ikmo, which she planted in her backyard at the sidewalk of Divisoria Market. My mother was a public school teacher and later on put up a small business, rice mill and poultry farm, so she can stay at home and take care of us and my siblings. Their passion and dedication for our family exemplify the values of sipag at tiyaga, hard work and perseverance, that I also have passed on to my own children. Most of the time, we do not need to look outside of our own families for inspiration and positive influences in life. The International Women's Month gives due recognition to the significant role of women as the country's effective partners for change and development. This also serves as a venue to address all the concern of women. Happy Women's Month to all. God bless and stay safe.
Good morning, everyone. To our Honorable Secretary William Dar, good morning, sir. To our Undersecretary Evelyn Laviña, my boss, the Gender Equality and Social Inclusion, good morning, ma'am. To our honorable guests, Her Excellency, Ministers, Secretaries, Superintendent Bonto, to our friends from the Diplomatic Corps, good morning and thank you for coming. Assalamualaikum. We would like to thank all the men and women of the Department of Agriculture, its bureaus and attached agencies who have made this event possible. We would like to commend the women behind the agriculture of the Republic of the Philippines. Thank you very much, and let us make change work for women. Have a blessed day, everyone.
Short and sweet.